Let's dive right into this explainer and begin a truly incredible sensory journey. Today we are exploring a brilliant piece of classical Tamil poetry. We are looking closely at a text that meticulously tracks an evening breeze. It maps the precise, fragrant ascent of that wind as it transforms the landscape and the people within it. We are going to explore this visually, step by step. We are completely immersing ourselves in the sights, the sounds, and the heavy scents of this ancient world.
The source material instantly plunges us into the aquatic fields. This establishes a very specific origin point for our fragrant breeze. We begin right in the wet, vibrant ecosystem of a marshy field, just as the day transitions into evening. The text sets a scene absolutely brimming with life and anticipation. Our journey follows 4 chronological steps exactly as the text lays them out. We start in the aquatic fields, move through the garden groves, enter the palace window, and finally ascend to the moonlit terrace.
Let's start with Section 1, the scent of the aquatic fields, and see exactly how this journey begins, right at the water's edge. They're remarkably precise about what the wind encounters. The breeze first sweeps across these specific waterscapes. It touches the cajunir and the ambul, which are distinct varieties of water lilies. It passes over the kuvalai, the striking blue lotus, and the tamarai, the classic, full-blooming lotus. The wind acts exactly like a sponge. It absorbs the distinct, heavy perfume of these aquatic plants right as their petals begin to unfold in the cooling air.
The imagery here is incredibly active. We observe the exact moment the buds open and release their scent into the air. This immediately attracts the bees. The text specifically highlights the deep, resonant hum of these bees. This is ancient poetry capturing a perfect micro-ecosystem in action. We are seeing it, hearing it, and smelling it. The ecosystem is awake, and the wind is the engine driving all this activity forward.
Moving on to Section 2, the fragrant garden groves. As the breeze moves inland, the atmosphere completely transforms.
Crucially, the wind retains its aquatic perfume and adds entirely new layers. It picks up the sharp, fresh fragrance of the blooming screw pine with its sprawling white petals. It gathers the delicate sweetness of the winding Madhavi creepers. Finally, it absorbs the rich, intoxicating aroma of the dense champa groves. The wind is actively crafting a master perfume as it moves across the land.
And the bees follow right along. The text explicitly notes the bees exploring the pollen of these newly encountered terrestrial flowers. They feast on the rich dust of the champa and the Madhavi. This creates a vivid, almost cinematic image of nature deeply engaged in its evening rituals. The wind, the flowers, and the insects are locked in a perfect, harmonious dance.
By now, the breeze has accumulated a massive, complex bouquet. It becomes a heavy, almost tangible entity carrying the combined essence of the water lilies, the blue lotuses, the screw pine, and the champa. The fragrance gathers, thickens, and intensifies with every single yard it travels through the terrestrial gardens.
This brings us to Section 3, the arrival of the southern breeze. The legendary wind finally makes its appearance.
This gentle, highly fragrant wind, known as the legendary tendril, moves purposefully. It carries the untamed beauty of the natural world directly toward civilization. In classical Tamil literature, this breeze is a vital, celebrated force. It is the bringer of comfort, the herald of romantic seasons, and the carrier of the very essence of the fields and groves we just explored.
The poets use a beautiful personification here. The poetry describes the breeze and the accompanying swarm of bees as actively yearning. They seek out the beautiful, radiant faces of the women in the palace. They are drawn to their intricately woven, decorated hair. The wild fragrance of nature seeks to mingle with the cultivated beauty of humanity in a powerful, driving attraction.
Now for Section 4, crossing the palace window. The untamed, natural world has reached its primary barrier, which is human architecture.
We see a striking contrast here. The organic chaos of the wandering bees and pollen-heavy wind directly meets the precise jewel geometry of human architecture. We have perfectly arranged garlands and intricately designed window frames featuring small, perfectly carved islets. The text heavily emphasizes this striking contrast between the completely wild and the highly constructed.
The wind physically crosses the boundary. It slips smoothly through the small, intricately carved eyes of that geometric window and infiltrates the interior space. It brings the scent of the lotus, the champa, and the marsh directly into the stone and jewel-clad rooms of the palace. The barrier between inside and outside is completely dissolved by the air.
It brings the wild inside with it. Following those rich, collected scents of the fields and groves, the bees enter the palace, right alongside the southern breeze. They pass through the small islets of the window. The interior space is suddenly alive with the humming sound of the gardens and the intoxicating smell of the evening flora.
We finally reach Section 5, Joy on the Moonlit Terrace. This is the emotional and physical culmination of the text.
The direct physical sensation of this cool, incredibly fragrant wind instantly creates a feeling of immense joy. The inhabitants of the palace feel the southern breeze. They smell the journey it took across the waters and through the gardens. This sudden immersion in nature's perfume sparks a deep, unmistakable elation.
This experience goes far deeper than just simple happiness. The text directly connects this rich, sensory experience to the blossoming of romance. The heavy scents and the gentle touch of the southern breeze awaken intense affection. It stirs a profound longing and romantic desire within the people experiencing it. Nature becomes the ultimate catalyst for human emotion.
To fully grasp the final movement of this poem, we must understand the word aramia. The aramia is the multi-tiered architectural destination at the very top of the structure. It is the moonlit terrace. It is a space elevated above the ordinary, designed specifically for catching the evening breeze and basking in the light of the moon. It is the ultimate stage for the joy that has just been awakened. Moved by the wind, the physical action directly mirrors the emotional high. Filled with joy and surrounded by the intense scent of the evening, the figures in the text physically climb. They ascend the stairs of the palace, moving higher and higher into the open air. They are heading straight for the elevated space of the aramia.
Once on the terrace, the classical imagery takes completely over. We are introduced to the concept of the season of love. In this tradition, the god of love wields arrows made entirely of fragrant flowers. This powerful force now absolutely dominates this elevated, moonlit space. The wind delivered the scent sparked the joy, and now love reigns supreme on the terrace. This concluding translation perfectly locks in the final image of our explainer. It summarizes the entire progression beautifully. They rejoice at the wind, they excel in the deep affections it awakens, and they ascend to the highest, most open point of their world. It is an ascent driven entirely by the pure, transformative joy of the fragrant evening air.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a thought. Think about how a simple change in the wind awakens profound joy in your own life. The classical poets understood exactly how deeply connected we are to our environment. Consider how the physical sensations of nature, like the smell of rain, a sudden cool breeze, or the scent of blooming flowers, continue to directly shape our deepest emotional landscapes today. The next time you feel the evening wind, take a second to notice exactly where it is taking you. Thanks for joining me on this journey.